Hi, I'm Ensign Strider with my Batman Eternal Issue 5 review. Now, as always, I do start my reviews with just what I think of the issue, and then the second half I do talk about what actually happens in the issue, so I will notify you when that happens. Now, if you're wondering why in the thumbnail I was holding my hand over Batman on the cover there, it's because he's barely in this issue. It's a Red Robin focused issue. Now that could either be a good thing or a bad thing, but in my opinion it's a bad thing when you buy a comic called Batman and Batman is barely in it. He does make an appearance about halfway through the comic for about 2 or 3 pages, and that's it before he takes off. There is a lovely exchange between Red Robin because it does focus on Red Robin. I'm still not sure about the name of Red Robin actually, and he's been called that for quite some time now. But there is a lovely exchange between them in the time that they do talk together, and it was one of my highlights of the issue actually, especially since they do mention Dick Grayson with his unknown fate in Forever Evil, as well as a few of the past other storylines such as Death of the Family. So they do talk about that in this issue. The art in here is a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm perfectly honest. I can't remember who. I'm going to check because I can't remember the name of the guy who did it. But the art is definitely a mixed bag. It's always on the second page. Why? Andy Clark? Really? No. Apparently Andy Clark did the art. I was thinking it was someone else, but it says here Andy Clark, so who am I to argue with it? It's a bit of a mixed bag. The detail that he goes into on some of the things like clothing and things like that is astounding. I mean, it's something that I would appreciate. Or it is a new artist again from the last issue, which does make me think if you're waiting to pick this up in trade paperback, it could be very disjointed. The fact that in the space of 3 issues we've had 3 different artists. Of course, the first 3 were handled by one artist, and then a new artist 4, and a new artist again for issue 5. But yeah, it's things like details on the clothing, like one of the opening scenes Alfred's in, and he's just got something as little as a tie clip just holding, and it's little details like that, and the detail on Red Robin's suit and things like that is astounding. I just absolutely love little details like that. When little details are put in, I really do appreciate them. But this guy can't seem to draw women's faces for some bizarre reason. There's even one instance where one of the women featured within this issue looks like more horrific than the Joker. In fact, I'm going to show you, it's not too spoilery, that Vicky Vale is in this issue. She has featured in previous issues, so it's not spoilery me showing her to you. But yeah, I'm going to find the one that it's a very small panel, but when I noticed it, I was just like, why does she look so scary? I actually can't find it now, which is typical. Just give me a moment here, I know it exists. Yeah, it's this very little panel here. She looks damn creepy, and whenever you see her at all she looks scary. I mean, there again, look. She looks damn scary. I don't know what it is. It only seems to be women's faces that this guy can't seem to draw. It does settle down in the second half of the comic. He seems to find his groove and his rhythm. So it's not as bad in the second half, but the first half, definitely the ladies' faces do look quite bizarre. Other than that, it seems to be a bit of a filler or a padding issue for a 52-part series. I mean, we're like at number 5. We're not even at 1/10 of the way through this yet. Or yeah, We're just 1/10 of the way through this series with how many more issues? 47 issues left to go. But this feels very fillery. It seems a bit disjointed, and I don't know how it relates to the rest of the story, particularly as well since Batman is barely in it. So they do reference the events of previous issues, and do set up for, well, hopefully set up things that are going to get explained later on with the contents of the story. Oh, by the way, this is like nanobots on the front here, all this like stuff, they're nanobots, so it's not exactly a spoiler showing the cover. When you walk into a comic book store, you're going to see the cover anyway. So yeah, it was one thing that I did appreciate that was in this issue that is pretty much at the front of it. Red Robin does say it's been 3 nights since the events of the subway crash which happened in issue 1. The last issue I was a bit upset because there was a time jump, whereas this issue does establish how long since the subway crash, because there was no explanation in the previous episode, so the court trial was very damn quick to actually Gordon's trial. It just seems to it happened so damn quick. It must have been like 2 days afterwards, because this one does tell you that only 3 nights have passed. There's no Gordon in this one, there's no Batman, there's no Falcone, there's none of the extended story from the previous issues in here. There doesn't seem to be any continuation, so I was a bit upset. As it is, with it standing being a Red Robin issue, I actually very much enjoyed it. I got to know Red Robin that little bit more outside of the Teen Titans, and if it was this guy writing Red Robin, or maybe even the Teen Titans, I would be all on board for it. He seems to know the character and know what he's doing with him. He's got that sarcastic flair, and the artist actually gives Red Robin the spiky, punky hairstyle back, which I really appreciated, because that is sometimes missing. So, what do I make of it overall? It's definitely, in terms of story, the weakest of the lot. While I did appreciate the Red Robin stuff, and I did enjoy seeing Red Robin, it's not really a Batman comic. I mean, I know there's going to be more Batman members showing up in this, but I would have liked to have seen Batman and Red Robin interacting and working together a bit more. As I said, the art is pretty good and very detailed in most places, but there is a little bit of struggle of drawing female faces, which could sometimes drop me out of the story. And I'm not too happy with the fact that there's not much continuation of the overall story arc in here. It sets up a few threads, but it does feel like like padding and a bit like filler, if I'm perfectly honest. This could maybe have been handled in maybe a few panels over the next 2 or 3 issues, setting up a few things, but other than that, it's very much a Red Robin issue. And while I did enjoy seeing Red Robin interact with some of the other characters which feature in this issue, which I'm not going to spoil for you, it didn't really last long enough for me, and I was very let down with the entire issue, if I'm honest. Out of the 5 that are released so far, I would definitely say this is the weakest. So if you don't want spoilers, head away now, because I'm going to start talking about spoilers for this issue. So I'll see you guys next time who are clicking off now. Okay, it's those who don't mind the spoilers who are staying, so I just got a bit of an itch there. So the comic does kick off with a scene in the Robin's Nest, which is an unauthorised Robin's Nest. Batman is completely unaware of it. The reason why Batman is unaware of it is because Red Robin doesn't want Tim Drake. I'm going to start calling him Tim Drake. I've always been a bit unsure of the Red Robin name. But Tim Drake didn't want to connect his computer up to the Bat computer. He says he doesn't like someone looking over his shoulder as he works. Present company accepted, because he is joined by Alfred in the Robin's Nest, which I actually appreciated that Alfred knows where it is, but Batman maybe does not. of course this is Batman, but he probably knows. But he doesn't want to Batman looking over his shoulder. He wants to be his own person, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy about Tim Drake as a character. He's like a miniature Batman. He can design things, like in I think it was the second issue where he was first shown in Batman Eternal. He built some robots just to train fighting against. It was just one of those little things that I really enjoyed. So he is joined by Alfred, who's basically just there for Red Robin just to bounce some ideas off him. Tim Drake. I'm not going to call him Red Robin. I'm probably going to do it throughout the entire review though. He's basically just Alfred's just there just to serve as someone to talk to. Otherwise, he'd just be sat there in silence. And there would be no speech. It's a plot device to set up what is going on. So he's viewing like these holographic projections of children who are sick and in hospital or in their beds somewhere. And Robin establishes that they've been exhibiting flu-like symptoms. Now these are the children that were in issue 1. At least I think some of them are, some of them aren't. But some of them were the ones that existed in, they were featured in the first issue, the ones that were abducted by Professor Pig. And some of them it's like flu-like symptoms, so it's very hard to understand because this focused quite a lot on technological stuff, and I'm not a technological guy, so I've got like lots of notes. And he just said they all lived in the Narrows, even the ones that weren't abducted by Professor Pig, they have these symptoms. They also have these crazy eyes that look a bit like circuit boards, just along the actual the irises themselves. It looks like there's like circuit boards, like that sort of design. So it's definitely not the Dollatron serum, at least not some form that we know. If you're unfamiliar with the Dollatron serum, by the way, I've talked about it back in the first issue review, and I never mentioned what it were. Some of you guys might not know, but it's one of the things that's used by Professor Pig. It's essentially a lobotomy in a needle, is the best way that I can explain it to you. It keeps people, at least the version I'm familiar with, which is Grant Morrison era typically, but it keeps people complacent. It was used by the mafia in Gotham to they actually used it on prostitutes to keep them compliant. It's not a pleasant thing. If you're interested in looking up what the Dollatron serum can do, I suggest you look it up on Google. I'm sure there'll be something on Wikipedia which discusses Professor Pig's Dollatron serum. It's not a pleasant thing at all. Alfred's just there to bounce ideas off, and he's talking about how the children that Red Robin's been examining have got these like flu-like symptoms. We then come to the Narrows, where I'm hesitant to call her Bluebird because I think Bluebird is only called Bluebird a bit later on in the timeline. I think Bluebird made her first appearance in Batman issue 28, which was a spoiler for the events that have not yet happened. Sorry, I dropped my H there. I try not to do that when I'm recording. But for events that have not yet happened in Batman Eternal, it was the spoiler issue, because there was spoilers in it for things that have not yet happened in Batman Eternal. So we're going with a wibbly wobbly timeline here, which really frustrates me. So I don't think she's called Bluebird yet, so I'm going to call her Harper, just because I don't think she's Bluebird yet, or she may be. But I think if I just say Harper, you guys know who I'm on about. She's heading out to do her crime fighting duties in the Narrows for the night. She says that there's something going on, something deeper below all this, and Cullen tries to convince her not to go out, but eventually relents, just saying, please just be safe out there. It's at this point that we get a close-up of Cullen's eyes, and he has the same like sort of circuit board stuff going on in his eyes, which means he's also, not exactly got these like flu symptoms, but whatever was wrong with those children is also very wrong with Cullen as well. Cut into the Gotham Gazette, we see Vicky Vale, a new guy called Joey, who's a young guy, 19. He's like, his news experience is like blogging and such. And there, what's the other guys? I had to take this down. Warren as well. I can't remember his last name, but I just took the note of Warren. Vicky Warren, the new guy, Joey are all talking in the Gotham Gazette about how news has changed and things like that, with going from less print-based stuff and onto the internet. This Joey is like the new young upstart of the group, and in this conversation that they have as well, which is just basically about how media is changing. Joey does mention Deacon Blackfire, which confirms that Blackfire from issue 2, I believe, the green flamey guy who walked through the wall of the asylum, is in fact Deacon Blackfire from Batman the Cult, the series that ran called Batman the Cult. If you want to go check that out, I believe it's actually fairly good. I've not read it myself, but it does confirm it is Deacon Blackfire, not the other Blackfire, who is Starfire's sister. So it would be a woman, not a male. So there is another Blackfire in the DC universe. In fact, I hesitate to call Starfire anymore, because she's not Starfire, not in the New 52 anyway. I call her Starskank, because that is not Starfire at all. So this Warren's like an older guy, an old news hound, and he's basically says to Vicky and Joey, to Vicky, I've still got my contacts, you may want to head out and talk to these guys and find out what you can about Carmine Falcone, and you might want to take Joey as well. He might learn a trick or two. So we cut back into the Narrows, and Red Robin is in a bedroom examining a child with this like cool holographic projector thing on his gauntlet. I would have preferred to have seen him maybe do a bit more detective sort of things, but he uses this like hologram thing just because it's very it's just easy to show the reader as well what is going on. So Batman comes into the room as well at this point, and Red Robin explains to Batman that whatever happened with these with what is found on his holographic projector sort of thing, which is nanobots, by the way. He's showing the nanobots inside this child's body. Whatever happened that turned these on, it seems that whatever it was, Pig must have triggered it somehow that night at the museum back in the first issue. It's at this point where we have the lovely exchange between Batman and Red Robin, and Batman really comes off the worst for wearing it. He's really treated like a little bitch by his sidekicks for the last 2 issues now. We had Batgirl punch him in issue 4, and in issue 5 we have Red Robin pretty much saying you're an arsehole to his face, and Batman just accepts it. It's just like saying there's something broken beneath the surface here in relation to everything that's been going on, and Batman seems to think it's he's talking about the city, when Red Robin was actually talking about Tim Drake was actually talking about Batman himself. So there was a lovely exchange there, and that was the highlight of the issue for me. Back on the streets of the Narrows, Vicky and Joey just walk up to some random thugs, and they're just like, can you tell us about Carmine Falcone? Because that's smart, just walking up to the biggest, toughest guys you can find, and we need to know about your employer. The thugs are just like, those are dangerous words around these parts, you shouldn't be asking those sort of questions, which I completely agreed with. It did seem like the dumbest thing in the world to be doing. Luckily Harper Road does step in and saves them by using a taser on the back of there was one of them had a knife. She used a taser on the back of that guy's neck, just like knocking him out cold, and head-butting one of the other guys, and she just like takes them all out like a stealthy ninja. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen for long because Harper takes them home with her just to get them off the streets and get them safe. And just in the seconds that they're there, these guys seem to have regained consciousness and have actually followed her home, which is perfect for a stealthy ninja crime fighter. She needs more lessons and a bit more training with Batman. So the thugs have, knocked on the door and opened the door. It seems chop and change a little here, but I'm putting it into an order which shall be a little bit more easy for you guys to follow. So it cuts up to Red Robin, who's actually upstairs in the apartment above Harper's, and he manages to get the base code for the nanobots which are in that child's body. Unfortunately, the nanobots feel this security detection, and they swarm out of the child in a huge swarm and literally knock Red Robin, I did it again, Tim Drake, through the floor and downstairs. When Red Robin, Tim Drake, is knocked through the floor and downstairs, the thugs, startled by what has just happened, open fire on the Seeker Swarms. Seeker Swarms? I'm thinking of Mass Effect levels, and I was playing Mass Effect earlier. They open fire on the nanobot swarms, just like, because they're shocked, they don't know what the hell this is in front of them. This does cause the nanobot swarms to go after the thugs, they say like a new threat detected, and this there's a little exchange here between Joey, the new guy, the new reporter, and Tim Drake. He does say, "You're Red Robin. I've got a poster of you on my wall," which is nice because it's just a little bit of recognition, because it's definitely one for the Red Robin fans, and seeing another Red Robin fan in the comic is nice. It's just one of those little things that I do appreciate when I'm reading a comic. So it's at this point that the nanobot swarms are going after the thugs that Red Robin, he uses his gauntlet mounted computer again, the little holographic one, he uses the base code, and he's just like system override, and the Seeker Swarms then do stop the attack. They've already knocked out the thugs though. I don't know how they did that. They're only, they're nanobot, they're tiny, but somehow they managed to take the thugs out, knock them out, just whatever, I guess. So they just like swarm together into like a ball shape, and Red Robin's looking pretty pleased with himself. Unfortunately, even though he issued the sleep command to these nanobots, it also causes Cullen, who, if you remember, had the crazy eyes going on, to just pass out and fall asleep. It's at this point, with Cullen falling asleep, that the nanobots swarm into his body, being the nearest available host, which Harper isn't pleased about. She actually blames Red Robin and said, "This is your fault. I need someone to call an ambulance." Vicky then borrows one of the tasers from Harper Raw and used it to wake up one of the thugs on the floor by zapping him. I don't know if that actually works or not. I'm no expert in biology, but my guessing is not. If you're electrocuting someone who's unconscious, you can't electrocute them awake. I don't think. I could be wrong. I'm no biologist. So maybe that's a thing, maybe it isn't. But anyway, once she wakes him up, she's just like, "I want some info from me." But she does it in the exact same way that she asked the thug from earlier for info. The exact, "I am Vicky Vale. I work for the Gotham Gazette. I need some information on Carmine Falcone." She does it the exact same way, so it's kind of funny. The scene then cuts for the last couple of panels through to Tokyo, where a man is saying, "The nanobots activated earlier." I had to write this down. "Mr. Wayne won't be happy. After all, I did train him." Did Bruce Wayne have something to do with this whole nanobot escapades or what? What's going on there? I didn't know who this guy was. I will happily admit this guy who just randomly appeared in the last couple of panels. But I did ask someone, and this person said, "This is Sergey." who hasn't been in many issues apparently. The person who I asked was Joel Daly, at the DVD Grouch on Twitter. You can also find him on YouTube, the DVD Grouch, and the Comic Book Cast on YouTube and Blip. So if you could, just throw some thanks his way on my behalf. I did thank him myself as well, because I had no idea who that was. I did need to find out, which is my review is a little bit later. I would have recorded it earlier today if I knew who this guy in the last panel was. So I don't know how this ties in with him saying he trained Batman and the nano machines. It was just like Mr. Wayne won't be happy. He did say young Mr. Wayne as well, which kind of threw me. I thought, well, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Bruce Wayne because you are older than him, or are you talking about Robin, Damian Wayne? It's just like, 'cause he's dead. Sorry, spoilers to anyone who's not read that yet. I think it happened like a year ago now. So yeah, that's where the story left off. It just left us with more questions in what is going to be an epic storyline. It's just unfortunate that I didn't enjoy this episode as much. So the next issue, I'm not going to look it up because I think it says an old ghost story or something. Because that last scene was in Tokyo with Sergei, who has a cool monkey, by the way. Monkeys are cool. Pet monkeys are cool anyway. The last scene was in Tokyo. I do seem to think that next issue will be going to Tokyo, and it'll feature Red Hood and this Sergei guy. So yeah, maybe issue 6 will be a Red Hood issue, which no doubt will sell phenomenally just because of the amount of fans Red Hood has. So that's been everything from me. I think I've covered absolutely everything again. There was a lot going on, and a lot of it was technological based, and I'm not a technological guy, and when you're dealing with fictional technology it gets a little bit hard to understand, but I don't really understand nanobots and computers and holographic projections anyway, but I think I covered all the details that I needed to cover. So as always, I've been N7 Strider, and I should go.